Time for the finals. We are on the draw with the Murphog traders to fix our mana, hopefully. Kind of like this hand. Looks like we have quite the efficient part of our deck here. And we should be able to answer most of the things. I'm going to wait with the traders and also not worry about power sync. It's going to be most powerful once he reaches more mana. That's really interesting that he didn't play anything on turn 3. Means that it's almost guaranteed that he has something next turn. But I also want to get in more damage, and because there are so many 2 power creatures, I don't want to drop the lion. It's just very unlikely that I can force through damage with it. Okay, that's also an option, of course, but one which I can live with, given that I'm going to be able to draw a card off Murphox here and continue with my plans. Now, I still don't think that I need... Well, actually, I think I can just stay on the offensive for one more turn. I do want to block this at some point. I don't really care if I kill it or if it dies from him not being able to keep up the upkeep costs. But keeping up 2 mana here and not doing anything, or dropping a Murphog Traders without having anything I really want to discard, just doesn't seem very good. Okay, he didn't play anything. I was basically sure that he would have something, because not getting any board development done in this crucial turn, and then keeping up with paying the upkeep costs, just sounds awful. And we are going to keep open power sync, so that we are almost guaranteed to stay ahead on the board. I'm just going to block here. Murphog Traders gaining me 5 life is probably more than it's going to do otherwise. And the fact this is shaping up means, the way this is shaping up means that I'm lethal, representing lethal damage here. And this isn't going to block anything. So this game should be over. Just not enough to drop a creature with cumulative upkeep. Okay, nice. Green-blue, so our island creatures are, where are they? Manta Ray and Kukemsa Serpent are doing a good job in the main deck. Other than that, Phantom Wings, don't know if that's what we want. Maybe Ward of Lights again. It seemed good against green in general, and even though it might not be great against blue, I kind of like to give one of my creatures protection, especially because I have so many creatures that just aren't that strong. So I really want to keep in Disrupt, but it has been so bad that I'm just going to take it out. Even though blue-green might have more instants or sorceries, I just don't think it's reasonable to play it. That was probably a mistake. I love this card, but it just seems too bad. Knight of the Mist also not going to be great against blue-green. But I need some creatures, and it's one of the more efficient ones in my deck. So Let's try it like that. Ward of Lights makes my mana a little worse, but as we've seen, we can reach to double white and things work out, usually. We are on the draw again, and I'm going to take a mulligan now. We don't have double white, we have 5 lands we can't use, and we've seen that Memory Lapse, while a good card, isn't really that good in the early game, so I think I have to mulligan here, and that hand looks much better. We are playing more islands than plains, so it's 9-7, so there's 9 islands, 5 plains left. Drawing a plains wouldn't be awful either. And it looks like our opponent has mountains now. Don't know if he's splashing. Yeah, it looks like he's splashing. And sadly we didn't manage to draw a land there. Kind of unfortunate. We really need to get going with this hand, because the creatures are going to get worse and worse, of course. And now the fact that we don't have an island also hurts quite a bit. He's probably just going to drop something like a 3-5 or 3-6, and then we are almost dead. Okay, I don't know that card. When it dies, okay, it's basically a 4-3. And that means blocking it with a 3-1 is going to be a good way of going about things. Okay, that worked out. He's down to 4 cards, and we did draw 2 lands in a row, so I still have hope. When this dies, we get back this, or maybe something else if we block with it as well. We could also get back I think playing the First Strike Griffin is better, because it allows us to double block Tolarian Drake, and that should mean that he's only hitting us for 3 instead of 5. If he does attack with the Drake though, we could respect the fact that he probably has something. It's not likely that he has something, because he didn't have anything last turn when he could have saved his 4-3. So there's 3 options. Either he didn't want to use something on his 4-3 but has something, or he drew it this turn, or the third option, he missed that Longbow Archer has reach and is just, well, willing to let us kill Tolarian Drake. I think it's rather the last option is rather unlikely, and we haven't seen anything from our opponent that lets us to believe this. So it looks like we could just get a very easy kill here, and then we would actually be in a great position. But if we don't, we in a certain way, these creatures aren't really good at beating Redwood Treefolk anyway. So I think I'm just going to block here, and he's going to show us what he has. Maybe it only kills 1 of our creatures, maybe 2, and maybe we just got his Tolarian Drake. I wasn't expecting this to happen, but it's possible. The fact that he attacks is could either mean that he missed this, or that he thought, if I attack, there is no way that I can block. Both is reasonable. Now, I don't think that creature is very good for him, because it's a 5/4 trample and we have 2 first strikers, so I expect him to return itself rather than rather than the redwood tree fork. That just wouldn't make any sense. Sadly, we can't use Ray of Command that well in this situation, but I think dropping the Griffin here and presenting him with 3 2/2s is actually quite nice. I also played the 5th land because with my hand it's not bad if I manage to drop some more lands and then have different options with respect to Ray of Command and Power Sync. Also, things are looking quite fine right now, so I don't see a reason to stop playing lands. And it looks like he didn't draw anything helpful, maybe. Oh yeah, he drew a Fire Whip. That's a good card. And he is going to be able to sacrifice Fire Whip to deal 1 damage. Okay. That's not what we'd like to see, but I think we can find some ways to work through that. And one way is to just start attacking him. Now, he doesn't want to use his Fire Whip just like that, so that's quite understandable. And I expect him to once again take back the Wild Beasts. So what I could do actually is take the Wild Beasts in his upkeep with the trigger on the stack. He has to return this, recast this, then I return this in my upkeep to his hand, of course. But all that would do is basically get rid of Fire Whip, which isn't a high priority because the only way this is doing anything anyway is by him sacrificing it. So unless he has a second Fire Whip. Fire Whip probably being one of the better comes in this format. We really need to start keeping up some mana for Power Sync. Even with him recasting the 5/4 every turn, we are going to run out of ways to counter stuff. I'm wondering why he hasn't used Fire Whip on the flyers yet. Especially killing this sounds like a good idea. But we do get back this, so yeah, it's probably better to just kill the first striker. Seems like he's content to just sit there with his Fire Whip. I think my goal is to counter whatever he plays in addition to the 5/4. And if he keeps drawing lands and I'm not able to counter whatever he plays, then that's also fine. Because the amount of lands he's drawn is already helping me out quite a bit. And that would be pretty brutal. So let's Power Sync that. I see absolutely no reason to deviate from our plan. Going to add the Phantom Warrior to the board as well, and then we keep the clock running. Okay, first game he played 2 spells, but this game he hasn't shown us a lot of different spells either. Quite a lot of lands though, with an interesting mana base. I would expect red to only be a splash. It's possible that he is playing 2 red cards and 3 mountains and drew all of them. But the fact that he drew all of them in 17 cards could also mean that he has 5 or 6 mountains. It doesn't look like he has a plan against my evasive creatures yet. Okay, this is the point where he placed the second fire whip. It's very possible that he had 2 fire whips all along, but was missing a second creature to put fire whip on. Given that this is always summoning sick, I think that's actually quite likely. And we are down to only the Phantom Warrior, but might also be able to use Ray of Command at some point. Maybe I just drop Merfolk's here. Don't know if that's correct, but it might even be reasonable to just attack into his creatures next turn, maybe with the help of Ray of Command. And that way I'm still protected against any mass removal there might be, dealing X damage to each creature or something. Protected in the way that I can still draw a card off the Seer. Okay, he's also missing his fourth forest to play both of the green creatures at once. So yeah, his draws were really not the best. I can't say can't really tell about his deck. It looks like Fire Whips are the splash, but aren't working out that well because he doesn't have many creatures to put them on. You usually want to put Fire Whip on your weakest creature, not on a 3/6 or 5/4 with, well, that dies after a couple of turns, so. Ward of Lights. If that resolves, we are almost there, basically have almost won. If we take Uktabi Ifrit, it's also going to be very difficult for him to beat us. He could block, well, if he blocks with the Ifrit with Tree Folk, then he needs to prevent 4 damage by killing maybe 2 creatures or something, and I don't see him having anything, given that we know that the Wild Beast is still in his hand. So I think we aren't risking anything by doing it that way. Yeah, it looks like it worked out. Mirage Visions Weatherlight. As you can tell, I'm no expert on the format, but I thought it was a nice change from M13, and I didn't want to draft cubes, so this is what you got. One of the most expensive sets on Magic Online, so that was another reason to do it, even though we didn't open up anything spectacular. And well, we got some nice packs here, which I might sell or I might do other drafts with. If you have a chance, try out the out of print drafts on Magic Online. And I'm looking forward to Return to Ravnica, pre-releases, releases, and of course drafting on Magic Online and making more videos. As always, this was Simon Götzen for MTGOacademy.com. Keep watching Simon Says and let me know what you think in the comments. Bye bye.